Welcome to Enlightened Evolution.
I'm Cay.
And I'm Christina.
We're here to discuss the ebb and flow of our soul's healing and transformation through self-reflection, choosing intentionally, honoring thyself, and following your inner guide.
Thank you for joining this safe space with us.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Enlightened Evolution with Cay and Christina. We hope that you are doing well this morning. Today, we are returning for part 2 of anxiety, how to recognize and resolve some of these issues that we discussed last week. How are you doing this morning? I know that we are on the same day as recording as we were the last episode, but what are your plans today? How about that? Would you have any good plans for this Saturday?
I really want to go shopping, even though I don't need to go shopping. I really need to
Ooh.
clean my house,
Yeah,
but I think I'm going to save that for tomorrow. I look cute today, so I'm like, I got to go out
you
in
do.
public. I want to
Yeah.
get some sunshine on my skin, touch some grass, maybe go to a park, something like that. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Um, your girl is getting braces.
Are you? You did not
So,
tell me. What about
I
you don't
know.
want to do the Invisalign?
I'm doing Invisalign. I just like to say braces to shock people. But I am getting Invisalign in a few weeks. And you have it was so intense going for the appointment. You have to sign all these contracts of you'll wear it for 22 hours a day. I think it's going to help me to lose weight because you have to take them out anytime you drink or consume anything other than water. So I will have to go through taking them out, rebrushing my teeth, and putting them back in if I want to have a soda, if I want to have a snack. So I feel like I'll be
Mhm.
less. Um, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. People typically get a lisp with them, so I might not be able to
Oh.
wear them when we record. We'll find out.
So I've had Invisalign in the past, and I
Oh,
I
okay.
don't wanna discourage you, but I've lost my retainers, and I like to eat, and I eat
Same.
I eat a lot of snacks, like, I'm a grazer, so it was very hard for me to be successful with Invisalign, and I wasn't. And I'm still
I am
paying on
also
them.
a grazer. I don't like to just eat a big meal. I love to have snacks throughout the day.
Yeah. But throughout the night, though, like, that's a good portion of the day, you know what I mean? So and you can
But you didn't finish
still
yours out?
I don't even know where they're at. I know it's
Girl,
bad.
it's $6,000,
I
so
know, I'm still
that has to be enough motivation for me to
actually,
do
I
it.
think that I have one more payment left on it, and I got it, and I
Oh,
think I did it in, like, 2018 or 19.
oh
Mhm.
god.
I know. I know, so it was like, I did it, and I don't know, like, now I'm okay with my teeth now, like, you know what I mean? But I just like, I could see them helping, though. So they will
So,
help,
I'm
it
not
will work if you do it,
I'm
for
not
sure.
doing it for a cosmetic reason. I do have some overcrowding in the front, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
My dentist, I just got a crown, I just had a root canal, 2 months ago now, and I love my dentist because he's very blunt, and he was like,
Mhm.
"Look, I don't even know, at least probably 5 root canals, multiple crowns in my mouth, my dentation is not great." And like we talked in our last episode, grinding my teeth is a huge reason for all of my
Yeah.
dental demise. But he was like, if you do not align your teeth, you're going to continue to break down your teeth and you're going to continue to pay 2-3,000 every time you have to get a root canal. So you might as well just pay 6,000 now, get it done, and have a better outcome with your teeth in the long run. So I hope he's right. But really, the root of the problem is grind. Yes, alignment will matter because it's when you chew and all those things, but also the grinding of the teeth has to stop.
Yeah. Even going to the dentist gives me, like actually, I think that's one of the most and I didn't mention this in the first episode, but that's one of the most anxious things that I have to do is go to the dentist. They have to give me the nitrous every time to even
Hmm.
calm me down, even to get, like, a simple filling, like, I'm obnoxious.
Do you get nitrous when you do a cleaning?
No.
Oh, my girlfriend does, and when she told me that, I was like, "Just for a cleaning?" She's like, "I get such bad anxiety." And I
Oh,
was like, "Oh, damn.
yeah.
Okay."
I'm okay with the cleaning, and probably because it's a female too. Nothing against men or anything, but I don't know. You just
We feel safer.
yeah, we feel safe with each other. So I think that's what it part of it.
Your dentist is a female?
My
Or
dentist
your
is a
dental
male, but
hygienist?
the hygienist is a
Your
female.
hygiene,
Yeah.
yeah. Same, same. How are what are your plans today? I think you have some fun plans.
Kyla, she's gonna be 11 the same day is your birthday on the 16th, but today is the 13th, and I'm gonna take a couple of her girlfriends. This is what she wanted to do, and she wants to go to the Asian market. And they wanna get all the Asian snacks, and then they want to review them. You know how kids do the reviews about all their
Yeah,
Asian, or whatever type of food from other country. That's what she
yeah.
wants to do, and then they're gonna have a bonfire later. We're gonna do s'mores. I'm gonna make nachos. It's her favorite, so just fun.
That sounds like a really fun
Yeah,
day.
Hello Kitty birthday. She wants Hello Kitty,
Oh,
so I got
yes.
decked out Hello Kitty down there. It's just gonna be a fun girls' day. I'm glad that my kids are a little older now, and for their birthdays, I don't have to invite like 20 people, 40 people over here with all these kids and all this stuff. They just want to
Their whole
do
class.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
want to do like a couple friends, a couple, one big fun thing. So it's
Good.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, you'll have to send me pictures of their
I
snacks or
I
their
will. I
their
will.
review.
Yeah, I will.
Oh, let me know if you guys find there is this snack. I don't know what country it's from, but it's these mango candies and you can peel them. Like you peel the outer part off of them. Let me know if you find
Ooh,
those.
I will.
I love everything mango.
Yeah, I do too. I just cut up mangoes yesterday and was eating them.
Mm,
I love them.
yum. Yum, yum.
Okay, let's see here. Treatment of anxiety. Do you want to start us off with your I
Sure.
love your list. I see the internal family systems you have.
Yeah. So the first thing on my list is psychotherapy for treating anxiety. I know we've had listeners write in and say therapy is not for me, it does not work for me, and that's
Mhm.
perfectly fine. I'll also say therapy is not accessible to everyone. Therapy is fucking expensive.
And
I only see
some
my
therapists suck. They
yeah, and
suck.
some suck. And that discourages you. Like if you go to one, you pay all this money to go see someone, they don't help you. I do believe in I don't wanna call it therapist shopping, but you have to find the person that works for you, and this
Mhm.
last time, I was very intentional about choosing my therapist. I went on this website, looked for a therapist that was trained I actually looked for EMDR, but she also was trained in internal family systems, and when I went to her, my first, like, intake session, I was like, "Look, I'm not going to come to you every week, maybe not even every month. I know myself and I know that I do better if you give me tools to use between sessions and then I can come to you for like, when I need a breakthrough on something. I like to do the work myself, which is what you have to do to make therapy work. You can't
Mm,
just expect
for
to have
sure.
this weekly appointment with someone and then that's just going to fix all your problems. I had a friend who actually was like, "Well, you don't even go to your therapist much." And I was like, "No, I don't, but I do the work." Like she tells me the books to buy, she gives me exercises to perform, and I do them at home and put them into practice. You just going and venting to your therapist every week and not actually taking any action to change your life isn't going to be helpful. So you have to go into it with the mindset of, yeah, I'm going to pay for this therapist, but I also have to know that I'm going to do the work outside of that 1 hour therapy session. Another thing that my therapist does that I have never seen before, she takes notes. So like if you've ever gone to a therapy session before and you've got this person sitting in front of you and they're just scribbling down stuff, you have no idea what they're writing. That alone gives you anxiety. Like what are you
Yeah.
writing? She says, "Bring your own notebook." So I went and got this cute little notebook. She takes notes for you and gives it back to you at the end of the
Oh,
session
I
so that
like
you
that.
have them.
I
Yes. And I
love
was like, "Oh
that.
my gosh." Yeah, and I think you could ask that of any of your therapists. She's very, I will say, like new age, very chill. Like she won't even like I didn't ask her for a diagnosis, but she's like, "I'm just going to put this down for your insurance, but they don't really need to know." Like she's funny. So she does that, and I also told her, like, I'm sick of coming to therapy appointments and just not knowing what to say, having the therapist like not guide. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where
Mhm.
it just like sit there and stare at you in silence and don't really help to drive the conversation.
Yeah, my first
I
therapist, it was basically she just let me come in and bitch, and it was like
Mhm.
an unorganized like, the whole session was unorganized, I felt like. She did give me some tools and some information. It just it I had a hard time with her competing with my own insights, and I didn't really feel like it was helpful. Now I do
Mhm.
see a different therapist. She's more my age. I guess she'd be like new age too, and I love her. I've started diving into the EMDR, and so just getting deep into my subconscious, pulling things out, things that that has helped so much. The EMDR has helped so much. I do wanna do internal family systems too. I think that would help as well. EMDR just basically and I think every EMDR therapist kinda does it different, but, they give you devices and they pulsate and they ask you questions and they kinda take you through in your subconscious things come through your subconscious, and sometimes it's, like, even fantasy-like, but you'll know, like, the deeper meaning of what you're working through, whether you're working through not being worthy or being judged or shame or guilt or fear or anything that you want to work through from past traumatic events. And it has helped me so much just being more comfortable in my own skin with other people, connecting with them. It's reduced my anxiety tremendously. And I've just started it and I've only done a few sessions, but I absolutely love EMDR.
That's so exciting. I think
Mhm.
in the future we should do, once you've been in it for a while, do just a whole episode on EMDR. And I could probably do a whole episode. I wish I've never asked my therapist, but I want to ask her, like, will you come on and talk about internal family systems?
Oh,
Because
that would be
the,
cool. She
I
might.
know she might. We'll see I if I can work up the nerve to ask her.
Oh, just ask her. What I mean, the worst she could say is no. "No, I'm
I know,
sorry.
girl.
Okay." You
That's a
know what
conflict of interest.
Yeah, or, I mean, you wouldn't even have to bring her on as your, therapist, we wouldn't have to tell anybody. I
We'll
mean, we've
pretend.
we've said it now, but
I know. Forget you heard this. So yeah, so I went to her with the idea of wanting to do EMDR. I had heard about EMDR and I was like, "Oh, this is what I need." And then I
Mhm.
started explaining to her. She's like, "Well, tell me your needs, what you're looking to get out of this." I did let her know that I don't have a full memory of everything that's happened to me, and she's like, "EMDR might not be the best for that because you do need to be able to pull those memories." She's like, she told me what internal family systems was. I had never heard of it before, and I was like, "I'll give it a try." And so we did it. So what she did with me in my first session, she had me this is the first time ever in therapy that I've laid out on a couch. You know, you see that depicted all the time of like
Yeah.
the chase lounge and you lay out on it. But this was actually the first time I did it. She had me like lay a blanket on myself, get comfortable, and she does kind of like a guided meditation. And I'm going to read some descriptions for you of kind of what internal family system is. So, according to this type of therapy, individuals have various parts within their psyche and each have their own unique characteristics, emotions, motivations. These parts can be protective, wounded, or have roles within the internal system. The goal of this therapy is to help individuals connect with their core self, which is considered to be the part of you that is inherently calm, compassionate, and wise. So, anxiety as a protective part um, is often seen as a protector employed by certain parts of self. These parts are trying to shield the individual from perceived dangers, either internal or external. For example, a part may generate anxiety to prevent the individual from taking risks or entering into potentially threatening situations. So, I mentioned in last episode, your anxiety is really meant to protect you. And so, in my first session with her, she's, guiding me to this through the woods to this river. She's like, we're going to set out a blanket and we're going to invite the parts of you to show up. And she's like, so who is showing up for you? And in my imagination, I don't see anyone. And I was like, there's no one here. And she's like, okay, well, how do you feel? And I was like, I feel anxious to see who's going to show up. And
Mhm.
she's like, so your anxiety is here with you. And I was like, oh shit, look at you.
Love that.
And so we worked through my anxiety, and you have this internal conversation of, you talk to this part of yourself and you're visualizing it in your mind. Like, in my mind, this part of myself was a little 6-year-old girl. I envisioned her, what she looked like. You ask this part of yourself, what burden is it carrying? Because all these different parts of yourself, all these protective parts, are carrying some sort of burden. And so you have that internal conversation of, what burden are you carrying? Can I take that burden? Will you trust me to take that burden from you? You thank that part of yourself for protecting you and doing its job, and you acknowledge that it was doing a job, and you develop this relationship with these different parts of yourself. You don't get rid of them, but you develop this connection so that when I'm outside of therapy and my anxiety shows up, I can have this internal conversation of, thank you for showing up for me. Thank you for wanting to protect me. What is your, biggest concern right now? Can you trust me to take care of it? And it's going to sound wild to people that have never experienced this, cuz it almost, like, when she started to explain it to me, I was like, that kind of sounds like schizophrenia.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
But then the more that, like, we worked through it, and there is times when I'm like, I'm having all this internal conversation, like, what's going on? But then I started, me, I'm very science minded. So I want to see the research behind it. I read the books from the man that created this therapy system. There's so many out there. They're just awesome to read. I even got one that's kind of like a children's book.
Oh,
I don't
nice.
remember the title of it. I'll have to find it. But it simply describes what is going on. And so I return to this all the time. I had a conflict at work once, and I returned to the book to understand what inside myself is having an issue here and how it's showing up. So I know therapy isn't for everyone, but I do. And I know, like I said, it's not accessible. It's really expensive. That's another reason I don't go to my therapist every week. It's $175 a pop, and my insurance doesn't cover it. So we mentioned, things that cause anxiety, financial strains being one of them. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, well, do I pay for my new brakes that I need in my car this month, or do I go to the therapist? Like, sometimes we have to, is this something I can handle myself? I can work through with the tools that she's given me. So a lot of times that's what I do. If you
Yeah,
can afford it, that's awesome.
for sure. And no, I'm fortunate enough, like, I have, like, a $25 copay, you
Oh,
know?
that's amazing.
Yeah. So, and I know that not everybody can afford it, or certain people don't take certain insurances, and so that can be
Yeah,
a
and that's a problem if you're shopping around. Like, that's my issue, is my therapist is out of network, but
Mhm.
she's amazing, but my insurance won't cover it. So,
Yeah. How long have you been seeing her for?
probably like 2.5 years, I think.
Nice. That
It's
book
been a
that you
while.
mentioned, is that like The Body Keeps the Score? I still need to read that.
Oh my gosh. I recommend everyone read The Body Keeps the Score. If you're going to read one book, definitely read that. He goes into all the different types of, it's a book about trauma and healing trauma. And all of us experience so many different types of traumas. He talks very heavily about EMDR in there. I don't remember if he talks about internal family system in there. I feel like he probably does. And I am blanking on, I guess I could Google it, who created the internal family system. I mean, it's a fairly new type of therapy. In one of the books, I love to get them on Audible or whatever.
Mhm.
He actually goes through like case scenarios with his clients and like what was said and how they
Oh,
worked
that's
through it.
cool.
Trying to see if I can find who the author of it is.
Bessel Van.
That is who is the author of the Body Keeps the
Oh,
Score.
my bad. You were looking for the other one.
Richard Swartz is the
Mm.
creator of internal family system therapy. So fairly new, and it's working wonders for me. What is there anything else on therapy that you want to mention?
I don't think so. I think I'm good there. I think it's just because it's something I'm recently started exploring with this EMDR. You know, I've only gotten so much out of it so far. I'm excited. Like it's given me this outlet. I don't want to say dump everything on my therapist, but she's just helped me work through, you know, just my anxious tendencies. And it wasn't even like that I came in with anxiety. I haven't asked her what she's diagnosed me with, but I bet that's it.
I
I'm
know, and I
curious.
never asked mine either. I'm like, So what is?" She's mentioned to me that I have an issue with control, but like,
Y Yeah, she
she's
told me
never
I'm
said you're blah blah blah.
yeah, what she did say, she said, "You're" what did how did she say it? Like, it's all or nothing? Like, I'm an all or nothing thinker is what
Like
she said.
absolute thinking.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, like black and white,
Mhm.
and that
I
is
and I
true.
definitely was like that when I started therapy as well.
Mhm. I'm trying to get better about it, but it's more so just like the control, to maintain the control, because that's what I have an issue with too. So that's why anxiety is
Yeah.
so difficult for me to just like, you have to embrace it, I think, when you're experiencing it and just find the tools to work through it, but having anxiety makes me feel like I'm out of control, and I don't wanna admit I'm out of control, so I'll avoid the anxiety and, not deal with it sometimes.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
The next treatment options I have are medications. I think you and I are both people that we try to not take too many medications. My philosophy for most things is I think medications are there to help you to get through things, but the root of the problem with anxiety is you have to get to the root of it. You can cover it with all these different medications, and
Mhm.
there's times when you need medications to be able to get through the day or get through the week or month or whatever. But if you ever want to heal it, you got to get to the root of it. So there are many different medications out there. SSRIs and antidepressants are usually what your doctor will prescribe first. I will say there are so many side effects with antidepressants. One of the biggest one is not being able to climax or not even having interest in sex at all. That alone will depress people, you know?
Yeah, and weight gain. I heard a lot of people that take those things, they have it just
Mhm.
they love to, like, snack more, and I think it
Yeah.
almost gives you, like, less energy in a way too. I don't know, I've never experienced it. Some people say it gives them less energy, so they're not doing the
Mhm.
things like getting outside or working out as much as they used to.
Yeah, it kinda numbs you and it kind of
Mhm.
decreases your desire to do stuff. I will say there was a time in my life, like I've mentioned, my anxiety makes me lose sleep. You can't go on losing sleep for very long. So there was a time in my life where I did take SSRIs. I also had depression at that time. I'll say I tried a couple different ones. I didn't go through the whole gamut. I'm trying to remember the ones that I did try. But the one that worked best for me was Trintellix. It's a fairly new one, and so the issue was that my doctor gave me a, like, 2-week supply of it,
Mhm.
free, And then when it came time to fill the prescription, it
Excuse
was
me.
$400 a month.
Oh my
And I was like,
goodness.
I can't pay $400 a month for
Oh, and
this.
that's another thing
So,
that's terrible. Like, people find things that work for them and their insurance changes or it doesn't cover it to begin with,
yeah.
and that's frustrating.
Yeah, and because this was a newer drug, like, for insurance to even cover it, you would have had to have gone through so many different SSRIs before it
Mhm.
would even start to cover it, and that alone, like, not you don't always have that time to invest in that, so those are an option. Most SSRIs take 2 to 6 weeks to take effect, so that's the other part is you're taking this medication every day and you're not seeing results from it, so a lot of people quit them. You do have to taper off of SSRIs. You can't just cut them cold turkey. You will withdraw from them. Trintellix was one that I liked because it worked within a few days. So I liked that, and it had less of the sexual side effects with it.
Yeah.
So all around, it was the best one that I tried. Benzos are sometimes an option. Doctors are prescribing them less and less because of the drug dependence on them. They can become addictive and they can also lead to death. You can overdose on them. I had a prescription for Xanax. I mentioned I had my first panic attack at 19. My doctor gave me a prescription for like 0.25 of Xanax. I never abused it. So it was funny to me, like, to hear about people abusing it. And I was like, it doesn't, like, when I would take my 0.25, it didn't make me feel, some type of way. I didn't feel like,
Yeah.
I don't know, euphoric or anything like that. I just was able to not have a panic attack.
Mhm.
So I mean, I truly needed it, and I didn't abuse it. So I don't know. I know that they can be abused for sure. One that I found interesting is beta blockers.
I've never heard of that for anxiety before. That's interesting.
It is interesting, and I guess especially if your anxiety is stemming from a medical reason, if you have, SVT or AFib or different things
Mhm.
like that. But I was like, "Okay, I wanna know more about why beta blockers help with anxiety," and I guess they reduce the effects of norepinephrine, so they can relieve some of the physical symptoms of anxiety, so they decrease your heart rate, they decrease your blood pressure, so that helps with those physical anxieties of, like, ramping up and that rapid heart rate, so, I mean, that makes sense to me,
Yeah.
it's more of a physical, not of the psychological part of it.
Yeah.
One thing I will recommend to anyone that is considering medication is to get pharmacogenetic testing. So, this is something that uses your DNA to see what is going to be the best medication for you. I'm sure it's not cheap, but if you truly think that SSRIs or antidepressants are where you need to be, instead of going through these month-long trials with different
Mhm.
medications, start with that testing. It's actually something, I learned about it when I was working in the ER. One of our doctors was talking to us about it, and at the time, my friend was really struggling with depression, and I was like, "Hey, tell your doctor to get, this DNA testing for you so that way you know which one's gonna work for you." So he went and told his doctor that, and his doctor was an old school doctor and was like, "Don't ever listen to some nurse, and
Oh,
don't come in
wow.
here and tell me how to treat you." And I was like, you need a new doctor
Yeah.
because that's fucked up."
This doctor's office I used to work at long before I was a nurse, one of these people, a representative for that type of testing came in, and all the staff got it for free, and I don't know where my pamphlet is, but I have
Oh
that.
my god,
Yeah, I have
that's
that.
awesome.
And then I also have the other genetic testing to what diseases you're more susceptible to based on my genes and what traits
Mhm.
I carry for certain types of cancers and everything. And that physician I worked for started using those hand in hand to treat people and
Good.
yeah, preventative medicine.
Yeah,
So it's super
exactly.
super interesting. Yeah, I think I got to find it. I love it that I have that.
Yeah, that's amazing to have. I
Mhm.
don't know, I've never looked into the cost of it. I'm sure it's not cheap. I
It
don't
was
know if
not
insurance is
cheap.
covering it.
I don't know what it was
Yeah.
during that time, somewhere between like 2 or 400, I think, at that time, and I don't I think certain insurances, like commercials, insurances, some of it covered it, but I guess it's been so long. I'm sure it's changed so much since then.
I mean, even at $400, the reason I say it, especially for SSRIs and antidepressants, because they take so long to take
Mhm.
effect, you're wasting so much of your life like trialing this drug, trialing that one to
Yeah.
see is it going to work for you, and you're not going to know for 2 months if it's going to work for you. The testing would 100% help with this.
Yeah, and that can be dangerous depending on what you're going through psychologically because you're already at a state where you feel defeated and then you start taking these medications and you're uh, they just mess with you. They mess with you mentally, your your physical energy, everything.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, unfortunately, especially people with depression, when they do start taking these medications, sometimes they can actually be more likely to end their life. So that's something to be
Mhm.
very aware of and to just kind of keep an eye on. The last medication I have listed can be a controversial one, and that is ketamine. So, ketamine, I know, is also heavily abused in the public arena, but there are more and more studies going into the use of ketamine for treating, and I forget the term they used, but basically, and I don't know how hard it is to get treated with ketamine. There's ketamine clinics all over our area. I don't know about your area,
I don't know
but
much
usually
about
it's
it. I don't
okay.
know if it's really made its way up here.
They try for I think it says for like drug resistant depression and anxiety. So if you've kind
Mm.
of exhausted other options, but it may be also be possible. I actually ad popped up on social media for me, and it has this like intake form, and you express, how what are your symptoms, how long have you been experiencing them, and they were going to set up in home ketamine therapy for me, but it is pricey.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, I'm reading about it
yeah,
right now a little bit.
so there are actually clinics you can go to. They'll administer it IV or intramuscular, and you'll be monitored the whole time by a nurse, and they'll help to guide you. Those type of areas will also do a bit of therapy while you're on the ketamine to help you to unlock and process the root cause of your anxiety. There's also at home ketamine where you do have to meet with a nurse virtually. You have to take your blood pressure, your pulse, those types of things, but it's less monitored.
Mm.
So I have read lots of research where it's helped people. I have a friend that's also doing it right now and it's helping her. So
She
it's
does it at
definitely an
home.
option. She does the in-home one.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah,
I know.
not
Ketamine
every
gets such a bad rap.
Yeah, but I think everything, some things are for some people, some things aren't, but don't apply, let it fly. But if it's helping her and it's not being abused and it's in a controlled setting by a professional, I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah. Do you have anything else for medications?
No, I mean, we talked earlier about how people kind of self medicate with, I think marijuana is probably a big one that
Mhm.
I think in good doses, it can be helpful. It's helped me at times, but it's also made it worse at times. So,
Yeah, again, it's one of those things like, I know people
hmm,
that have a very specific strain that helps them with their anxiety. So it's one of those, like, trial and error things. You might
yeah,
try something, it works.
yeah. We want to get into lifestyle.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily lifestyle, but things to help manage anxiety. Lifestyle is one of them. Lifestyle home remedies. I like that you have that on there. I
Things
found
you can do outside of seeing a doctor.
Yeah, I know for me personally, if I could just get back grounded with the earth, it depletes my anxiety so much at the end of the day. Just especially in the summertime and the winter. I obviously can't go outside and walk barefoot here in Michigan, but I just take my shoes and socks off like as soon as I get home and just walk around my backyard and get in my garden and, pick some of my cucumbers and just lay down in the grass and it brings me so much relief. Or my days off, going to walk in the woods and just being just surrounded by nature and Mother Earth's energy, it just relieves my anxiety. more
Yeah,
than
it brings you
anything.
into the present moment.
Mhm.
So we know anxiety, we're living in the future, we're worrying about the future, what could happen. Being in nature helps to bring you back into that present moment in the here and now, which is where we can find peace. I will say a tip for people, maybe you live in a city where there's not a lot of grass around you or a lot of nature around you, or you live in an area where you have harsh winters and you can't be necessarily going outside. Google grounding mats. You can create them in your house. There's also companies that sell them, but you can just go get a mat. You can put moss on it, or you can even grow grass on it. If you get a little grow light to keep on it to keep it going in the winter,
Yeah, those are
keep it
cool.
watered. Yeah, and you put some nice smooth rocks on it and have your own grounding mat. I created one. It's been a couple years now, and I didn't keep up with it, and I let the moss die.
I
So you
love
do got to keep
feeling of
up with it.
moss on my feet.
Oh, I love it. I love moss so much. I'm a little
What
moss
do you
girly.
do when you yeah, me too. What do you do when you start to feel the anxiety creep in? Like, what's something you do instantly now, like, that you've trained your brain to do?
I think I instantly start to focus on my breathing and do breathing
Mhm.
exercises because that's the quickest, easiest thing I can do. I like box breathing or alternate nostril breathing. I'll say some of the breathing, like if you just Google breathing exercises on YouTube or something, some of them aren't great for anxiety, like especially the ones that make you hold your breath for a long time. Those can actually cause more anxiety. So just be mindful of the ones that you're choosing. Box breathing is just like a 4 count. So in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4,
That's what
hold for 4.
I like to do that one. That's what I like to do too.
Yeah. That's one of the quickest things that I can
Mhm.
do. I've
Drinking
got my
cold
list of other
water.
things.
Drinking cold
Ooh.
water gives it just focuses on something because, I mean, I don't like cold water. I like tepid water, but having the coldness, it kinda I guess it's kinda like a distraction, but I don't know, it helps regulate me.
It's probably another one of those things that brings you into the present moment because you kinda
Yeah.
have that not shock of cold, but, that, "Oh, I'm experiencing this cold," which is the other thing the there's a 3-3-3 rule, 3 things you can see, 3 sounds you can
Mhm.
hear, and if you can move 3 parts of your body, that's something you can quickly, easily do to bring you all these things are bringing you really into the present moment.
Yeah.
Another another thing that I do is I start to have that internal conversation with, "Okay, what am I worried about right now? Can I control this?" That's the first thing I ask myself is, "Can I control
Yes.
this? Do I have any control over the outcome of this?" If the answer is no, it doesn't deserve my attention.
That's right.
If the answer is yes, okay, what can I do in this moment to take action towards that? And a lot of times my racing thoughts come when I'm laying in bed. It's always bed, right? For
Mhm.
me. Trying to fall asleep and all these things pop in my head, whether it's something I'm stressed about at work or financials or whatever. And I have that conversation. What can I do in this moment? And a lot of times that conversation is, I could get some good sleep and that would help me to deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah. Mine always comes at the beginning of the day, worried that I'm not going to have enough time to do everything I need to do. Well, I'm at work, it's different. But while I'm at home and have to take care of just everyday stuff, mom stuff, whatever, it's always like, what is a priority? And am I going to have enough time to do it? And what if things come up and distract me from what I need to do and pull me away from it? And then I just quickly just try to remind myself. I've gotten a lot better. I worked hard on training my brain to like compartmentalize and put things away that I don't, currently need to focus on. And I always eat. Like I always need to eat.
Yeah.
That's like seriously my biggest issue of just eating some protein in the morning and drinking a bottle of water. Like eggs and toast and a bottle of water is my go-to. It sets me up for like hours. And
Okay.
it's always my problem like when I have anxiety that I haven't ate well enough yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things, the tips that I found online is just eating healthy. So making sure you get that protein,
Oh,
you get
yeah.
good vegetables, fruits, whole grains, fish, if you can, or if you don't like to eat fish, fish oil. The
Mhm.
omega fats from that are so supportive of brain health. So whether you want to eat it or take a supplement, they really help too. My friend, and like literally right before we started recording, she just sent me this thing and I haven't had a chance to click on the actual article, but I'll read you the title of it. It says a pickle a day may keep your anxiety at bay. So
Oh!
I'm gonna look at that and see what that's all about.
I wonder if it has
I'm
to
not sure.
do with the fact that it's fermented and it helps your gut
That's what
health.
it said.
Yeah.
Fermented foods. And that is the other part that I didn't really put in my notes. I'm learning more and more. Your gut brain connection
Oh,
is so
100%.
real.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I've tried to be a lot more mindful about my sugar intake. I think that
yeah.
is I mean, we're addicted to sugar, and I love sugar, and I'll never probably stop eating it as a whole, but I'm trying to be more mindful, like the processed sugars, like pops and candies and
Mhm.
stuff. I need my cake, but
Yeah. I know. I do too.
I love cookies so much.
I really do.
I do. I do.
We kind of mentioned getting outside, but one of the tips that they shared was just keeping physically active. So,
Mhm.
whether that's outside, whether it's a gym routine, at home exercise routine, just going for a walk. It doesn't have to be this high intensity workout. If you can get a gentle walk in, that will, I know for myself, that's usually, I tell myself I don't have time for it, but if I can get a good walk in, I feel so much better.
Oh, yeah. I try to and I think we mentioned this last episode. Maybe it was this one. It's all running together now. But the all or nothing mindset.
Hmm.
And it's like, I want to get back in shape and I want to start, weightlifting again. And it's like today, I'm not going to have much time because I got my daughter's birthday party. Like, even after we film this, I could get up and I could just do 10 minutes real quick in my room of some stretching. And I got these 2 10-pound weights. And it's better than nothing. And it's going to make me feel so much better. And
Yeah.
it's okay
But
that I
it's
and
actually
yeah,
doing it.
and it's only yeah, and it's okay that I only have, like, 10, 15 minutes to do it. It's still
Yeah.
good enough, and it's still it's still important.
And that's what I have taught, like, I have that talk with myself because I'm like, "Oh, well, you don't have time to work out," which I totally do. But even 10 minutes is better than 0 minutes. So I feel like,
Yeah.
every time I go to the doctor, they're like, "You have to get 30 minutes of rigorous exercise every single day." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's not always realistic." But and so then I feel down on myself. I'm like, "Well, I'm not getting 30 minutes a day. Here I am going back from my physical and I'm going to be like, "No, I'm not doing 30 minutes a day, but I am doing 10 minutes or I am doing
Mhm.
20 minutes, and that's better than 0." So you sometimes got to make compromises and take small steps. Don't set
Yeah,
yourself up for failure.
for sure.
One ex- uh, recommendation is to quit smoking or and cut back on caffeinated beverages, which,
Mm.
like, you got to just choose your battles, and that's not what I'm gonna do.
I'm
This
not
the
gonna stop.
caffeinated beverages part.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stop drinking coffee in the morning. It's not gonna
No,
happen,
absolutely not.
and I do feel people's pain with the nicotine. 'Cause even though
It's hard to quit. It's so hard.
I've quit, but, like, I love it. It's never gonna loving nicotine is never gonna go away. I don't think anybody
Mhm.
that's ever smoked is like, "Oh, I hate it. I hate nicotine." Like, no, we'll love it forever. But it does cause anxiety. Too much
It
of it
does.
and then not having it.
Yes. And I found it very interesting, actually. So nicotine is so bad for you in so many different ways. It creates anxiety, it increases your blood pressure, your heart rate, and it constricts your blood vessels.
Does.
And our neurosurgeon at our hospital, she's a public figure now. She's, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, an influencer or whatever. But she just did a video the other day talking about how bad nicotine is for spinal health. And then she was like,
Oh.
She's like, but I'm not going to say all smoking is bad. She's like, actually, there's research that shows that smoking marijuana can actually, or using marijuana, edible, whatever, can actually help spinal health. So I was like, okay, Dr. Grinch, like, I appreciate that you're not
Mhm.
like saying the PR version of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice. That's cool that she's on
Yeah.
there, you know?
Yeah. She's awesome.
Mhm.
What are some other maybe long-term or habitual things that you do to help with your anxiety?
I honor my yeses and my nos early and often. And I, know thyself. Like we talked about the whole making plans and canceling them. And I really try to think about now, like, is this something I really want to do? Or am I just trying to people
Yeah.
please? And so now that I'm not super anxious anymore about pleasing people and making them happy and worried about losing them, I can easier navigate the decisions I want to make in my life that are best for me. So I think
Yeah.
that it's like it just comes very easily now. Like if I don't want to do something, I say it. Like I just I just move forward honoring myself in almost every moment I try to. Without being impulsive and without seeking instant gratification because there's such a fine line there between
Yeah.
like doing what you want all the time and like holding back, like you said earlier, like
Yeah.
having the discernment to know, you know,
Mhm.
what serves you and what doesn't.
I I try to implement daily meditation and yoga. I don't get to it every day, but having a meditation practice is huge in helping
Mhm.
with anxiety because, again, it brings you back to the present moment. That's what meditation is about, being in the now. And that really helps you to get out of that anxiety mindset. Yoga helps you. For me, anxiety, I often experience like also disassociation with it. I'm also often like outside of my body. So yoga helps you to get inside your body and really be present with it.
Yeah, I think
You said,
go ahead.
I was going to ask you, you said you haven't tried Reiki before, right?
I have not, but Cassie, the psychic that we've both seen here, she's recommended it to me several times. She thinks it would help. She also thinks that oh my gosh, why can't I think of that word? Hypnosis would help.
Hypnosis?
Yeah, she said that.
Mm.
She recommended that over Reiki for me personally, and that's always been
Mhm.
something I wanted to try as well, but I haven't gone there to try it. I feel like now I have a pretty good handle and grasp on myself that I don't need so many tools and resources as I once did, but without those tools and resources,
Mhm.
I would not be able to be where I'm at now. And I do agree with you, like
Yeah.
meditation has been huge for me. There's different ways I've meditated, I guess different styles you would call it. And meditation is I think everybody has their own version of their personal meditation that they do. I mean, for me, a lot of it's, walking outside in the woods. I consider
Mhm.
like my morning coffee, even if it's like the first 15 minutes before we started filming today, I sat on my front porch and just drank my coffee alone for 15 minutes, just with the sunshine at, 7 o'clock in the morning. And that felt really good just to have that moment alone and not have a distraction from my phone or from kids, just sitting there listening to the birds. And like that is a meditation moment for me. So,
Absolutely. I'm going to find I was gifted this book once by one of my employees when I was a nurse manager, and she was an awesome person. And it's about like everyday mindfulness, and like how you can be mindful in the grocery store and like all these different tips of when you're cooking, how to be more present in that moment and more mindful.
mhm.
I'll find it. I don't remember the title and I'll link it in the show notes, but it's
Okay.
amazing. But yeah, Reiki, I feel like I've had it, and I feel like a lot of people, especially if you live in a highly anxious state all the time, you don't even know what it's like to not be in that state. And Reiki is one of those things that can kind of jumpstart you, kind of help you take a big step out of anxiety so that you can put other things into place to build a daily practice. So I definitely recommend it to people if you haven't tried it. I will say my first experience with Reiki, I felt like I didn't experience anything. I
Mhm.
feel like you have to go into it intentionally, knowing and work with your own it's energy healing, right? So work with your own energies while the Reiki practitioner is also working with them. When I did that in my second session, I felt a tremendous shift in my energy. So
Did you do that
it
here with
definitely
Cassie?
works.
You
I
did,
did 2
yeah.
sessions with Cassie. And I'll say, like, I did a session with someone here in Georgia. I didn't feel as big of a shift with that person as I did in my second session
Mhm.
with Cassie. And I don't know if it's too maybe just getting in tune with that practitioner too. So I haven't done a second session with this person, but I'm interested to see if it's different.
Yeah. I think now I really try to I didn't really think about this earlier. I really try to remind myself instantly that I'm safe. When I have these
Yeah.
anxious thoughts that come up, like we said, it's like this we're just fear. It's kind of like a fight or flight sensation in us. It's there to keep us safe. And I just have to remind me like there's nothing I need to be afraid of right now. Everything is literally fine.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, unless there is a I'll say grizzly bear because we know that women will choose the bear. Maybe a grizzly bear that's like got rabies in front of you. That's maybe a time to be anxious. But
yeah.
otherwise, in the grocery store, you're safe right now.
Yeah, you are safe right now. Maybe not in the parking lot, but while you're in the store.
Jeez, yeah,
Don't get us
that's
started,
true.
right? Yeah, okay.
We're trying to help people with their anxiety.
I know, right? I know. But it's so true. There's everyday things that like, oh, another thing, like I love watching true crime. I love the show Dexter. And ugh,
But
it's real
is
though. You know what I'm saying? Like there is serial killers, and so it's like,
there
oh my god, like
is.
this is like they could be
But it's
anywhere.
soothing to me to watch those shows. Is that weird?
It right.
Like,
I know.
I
It's
don't get anxiety when
comforting.
I watch them.
No, but afterwards, I I feel like it
Think
makes
about
me
it more.
aware. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess be
that's
mindful
true.
of the kind of content you ingest. We're constantly consuming. So like what are you putting to your brain that makes you like my other girlfriend I have, she watches true crime and she's like, "Oh my god, this person did this and that could be us." And I just she's
Mhm.
like got her house locked down and she's just, like it terrifies her. It's like this isn't serving you,
Oh,
you know?
yeah. And that's one thing I didn't put on the list, but, like, we mentioned before, discernment, and especially with social media, like, knowing so much, on social media when you scroll, there's so many things that pop up of, "Oh my gosh, this is happening," and there are things happening in the world, and yes,
Mhm.
it is concerning, but what can I do something about this, like, the war in Gaza right now, like, that keeps popping up, and it does
Yeah.
break my heart, but in the moment, like, what can I do about this? Is there an action I can take right now? If not, I need to let it go from my mind.
Yeah, or turn it off, stop watching it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Watching I
Absolutely.
remember when I was a kid, my grandma used to love Jerry Springer, and it used to make me like,
Mine did too.
like, I mean, but, like, I was little, like, little, like, it was always on, and yeah, I just remember thinking like, "Oh my gosh, they're all mad at each other, they're about to fight. Oh my gosh, that's not his baby," so I was like, "Oh," like
Yeah.
like, I didn't know it was anxiety then, but I'm older and thinking about it, like, that gave me anxiety to watch that when I was a kid.
Have you heard of the show The Bear?
No. Oh, yes, but I haven't watched it.
That show gives me anxiety.
Yeah?
It's just constant screaming in the show.
Oh, are they like Chicago people that own
Yeah.
yeah, that's just yeah. I
And
can't.
it reminds me of, like, my household growing up, so I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah. Sure.
"Ugh, I hate it."
Mhm. Was it a good show,
And I
though?
get, like
Depends
I
on who
mean, it
you
is.
ask.
I love the main actor, I forget his name, he was in Shameless, but it's too stressful for me. Jordan
Mhm.
loves to watch it, and it's about the kitchen, and normally, like me, I won't watch medical shows. I won't watch Grey's Anatomy and all that
Mhm.
bullshit. I mean, I don't even know if I'd watch, like, sometimes maybe, like, Sex Brought Me to the ER or something, like,
Yeah.
actual real medical shows.
Yeah.
I can't watch the fake ones because they do shit wrong all the time, and I'm
They
like,
do, that's
"No, that's not how
irritating.
you do CPR." They're
Right.
no wonder the person died. They weren't actually doing CPR.
Yeah, right.
So it's hard for me to watch it in that way, but I'm surprised he likes to watch the shows about the kitchen and especially, like, the stressful kitchen
Mhm.
'cause mm-mm.
Yeah.
Another form of meditation is body scan, where you, like, progressively relax each part of your body,
Oh, I love
and
doing
that
that at night. I do it
yeah,
at night
that
before I
really
fall asleep.
helps. Yes. So that's what I'll try to do if I notice my thoughts are just racing before bed. I'm like, "Okay, look, let's get into our body and let's gently relax each part of ourselves."
Mhm.
I also put, there's tons of different like natural supplements you can take. Ashwagandha is one that's especially hot on the market right now. There's tons of studies out that it reduces your sleepiness and fatigue. It helps to reduce your serum cortisol, which we know if we have high levels of stress, our cortisol raises. So I've been taking it. I have chewable form of it. I also have a form of it that has magnesium with it, so I'll take that one
Nice.
before bed because
Mhm.
magnesium helps with sleep as well.
I
I
got
do
some
think I've noticed a
gummies.
difference with it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I have some gummies. I buy so much shit to
I do
try,
too.
like like natural
I have
supplements and shit.
piles.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I think maca root's the only one that I've kept inconsistent with, which I think has helped my
Yeah?
anxiety. Yep, and it kinda levels out
Mm.
my hormones. It's a
I need
Peru
to get back on that. I have a
yeah,
bottle of it,
it's a
and I
yeah,
just
I
stopped
think it's
taking
a
it.
root from the Andes Mountains in Peru. I think maca root is, and it's
Mm.
yeah, it's just for your reproductive health, and I love it, but ashwagandha is another one, and I have that bottle in my closet. Maybe I'll break that back out.
I will take like I have the chewable form. I'll notice, especially like during my cycle, if I start to get super
Mhm.
irritable, I will take it. And I do feel like it helps to even my mood out. Another one that I recently have started taking, especially like when work stresses me out, that tends to be like when my thoughts get racing. There's this supplement by Ollie. It's called Goodbye Stress. And it's got ashwagandha, it's got GABA,
Nice.
L-theanine, and lemon balm in it. It does wonders. Like, if I have a day
Yeah.
where my heart is just racing at work or whatever, I'll take a couple of them, and it doesn't make you sleepy, but it just helps me to just chill out.
Goodbye stress. I'll have to look at that. Wonder if they have it on
Yeah,
Amazon.
I think they do. I got it at, like, Walgreens or something, but I think they do have it on Amazon.
Oh, that's
It's a
even
pretty and
better.
at Walmart too.
Yeah.
One thing that I did put on here is microdosing. So, there's a ton of research out, and
Mhm.
ketamine, we mentioned under medications, it is a microdose that you get of ketamine. You don't get like a full what someone might take recreationally when you're doing actual ketamine therapy. But microdosing can be done with psilocybin. Also, it can be done with marijuana. And it's really taking a low dose of it. So you don't actually get the hallucinogenic side effects of it, but you get just enough to help you to, for me, in my experience with it, I don't do it all the time, but I notice, like, if my anxiety is getting out of control and it's showing up every day and I'm really having trouble managing it, I
Mhm.
will microdose for a day or two, and it helps me to actually uncover the root of where my anxiety is stemming from. And that is the single most best way to treat your anxiety is getting to the root of it and treating what is really the concern. So it kind of helps me to like unmask the things that I've covered up and really get to the root of what is causing my anxiety right now.
Yeah. I love that. I have microdose here and there. I feel like it just made me tired. Maybe
Oh,
didn't have the right brand or something. I don't or the right brand. I don't know, maybe not the the right milligram or something, I guess I'll say.
Mhm.
But I do find that the supplements have been helpful for sure, for sure.
Lion's mane is another one.
Girl, I love lion's mane. Okay, I gotta tell this story though. Actually,
Oh, yeah.
so I all through nursing school, I took lion's mane. I don't remember the brand, but it was like it was the same brand that I took like all the years. And I couldn't find it anymore. And so I bought a new brand on Amazon and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get back on my lion's mane. I'm going to put it in my smoothies in the morning. Well, I put it in my smoothie before work and it was the same day that this patient and their family, they always brought like this, I don't know, like this foreign coffee with them too. And it was like smelled so good. And they were like giving it, sharing it with us. And I swear this family drugged me through the coffee. I swear that it was like marijuana coffee. And I was at work having like this full blown fucking anxiety attack. Felt like I just ate like 14 edibles. And come to find out, it was the lion's mane powder that I bought from Amazon that I put in my smoothie. I was having an allergic reaction to. But I'm so for lion's mane, even still after having this experience, because I know it did wonders for me. But I guess just be very careful when you first start introducing these natural supplements into your diet because you still don't know how they're going to affect you, especially if you're taking other
Yeah.
medications on top
Yes.
of and then you want to start to, do the more natural route. Definitely speak with your doctor that's prescribing you these meds or do your own research on how they're going to affect each other on a chemical level and inside your body because I mean, and I
Absolutely.
wasn't on
And
any
that's
other
something that
meds when I took
oh,
this.
yeah.
It was like and I was so convinced that this is how I knew it was the lion's mane, okay? I was so convinced that these people drugged me with their coffee that the next day I put the lion's mane in my smoothie again and was just as fucked up. And I'm like, oh my God. I can't believe it's this lion's mane powder that did this to me.
Yeah. I wonder if it had psilocybin in it and you just didn't know it or something.
I mean, is it legal to sell that on Amazon?
I just bought it on Instagram yesterday.
Oh, okay. Maybe it did. Actually, I wouldn't want to call
It's
like
legal in Michigan.
I wouldn't wanna yeah, I wouldn't wanna call this brand out. I mean, after I just said that their shit
Yeah.
just completely fucked me up. I mean, maybe their sales would skyrocket, I don't know. But
Well,
I'm not gonna I'll show it
and
to
that's
you.
it's a big thing too, like, especially if you're on SSRIs or antidepressants, they interact with a lot of herbals and a lot of other things. So, like ketamine, sometimes they'll interact with that. Definitely psilocybin, other types of med- plant medicine
Mhm.
can interact with those. So absolutely check with your of course your doctor's not going to tell you, yeah, go ahead and take psilocybin. Your question is, do these interact and am I safe to take it? I remember when I told my doctor, like I put on my list that I occasionally use psilocybin and she was like, I go to see like resident physicians, so they're brand new.
Mhm.
And she's like, what's psilocybin? And I was like, girl, what?
Yeah. Yeah. This does not have psilocybin in it.
Well, good. But
Yeah.
I've also heard that lion's mane, maybe it's just the amount of lion's mane, it can also act very much like psilocybin, not so
Yeah.
much usually the hallucinogenic effects, but very similar. You can eat lion's mane. I made some like lion's mane crab cakes once. They
Oh,
were delicious.
yum. I don't know if I've ever saw it or in you didn't find it in Michigan.
No, our farmers market, we have a
Nice.
group that they have a mushroom farm, and so they have all kinds of different types of mushrooms, and I had heard that the texture is very much like crab when you eat lion's mane,
Mm.
and so I went and bought it from them. They gave me a whole recipe of different things to make, and it was so good.
That's awesome. That sounds good. I love mushrooms,
It's very
like
good.
eating mushrooms.
And see, I don't normally. I
No.
don't like the regular like button mushrooms. I like small mushrooms, but I don't like big chewy rubbery
Yeah, like the
ones.
portobellas. I get what you're saying. I like the oyster mushrooms and the shiitake
Mhm.
mushrooms. Those are my favorite
Mhm.
ones.
Yeah. And I love truffles. Oh, love
Mhm.
truffles.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
good. Okay, we're getting off
I know
topic.
we
Let
are.
me see what else I have. I think, oh, one of the things I have is a lot of times my anxiety, anxiety and stress go hand in hand. If it's starting to get out of control, I'll book myself a massage or a facial. I'm actually going to a head spa next week. Have you ever heard of one of those?
No.
So, do you remember like when we're kids and like the best thing your friend could do is just like play with your hair?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, there's these head spas that you go to, and that's all they do. I'll have to find a video. I'll find one on TikTok and send it to you.
Yeah, I wanna see it. They play with your hair?
Well, like, they have you laid down, you're over this sink, and then they'll, like, run water over your hair. They also do, like, deep conditioning treatments while they do it, but then they'll also, like, massage your scalp. It's like a
Nice.
45-minute thing I'm going to just for my scalp
Oh,
and hair.
nice.
So they do all these different I think mine is gonna have, like, a neck massage with it, but they massage your head, they play with your hair, they comb it, they do a deep oil treatment, all these different things. They, like I don't know, they have all these different tools that they use, so I'm very excited to try it out. We shall
That
see. That's
yeah,
my treat to myself for
good
my
for
birthday.
you. Yeah, good for you. I wanna hear about it after you're done with it. I'm sure it's gonna feel
Yeah.
amazing. I think that
Mhm.
a lot of times we need to talk to our friends about our anxiety too, even if it's like, "Hey," like, I you and I voice text all the time. It's just like,
Mhm.
and I just feel like that's such a relief for me. Just like, let me dump a little bit of this on you, tell me I'm okay, and then I'm good. And it's like like that's a very easy, quick fix for me. So I hope that you have somebody that like that in your life, that you can reach out to and just get some validation that you are okay, or just you know, to help with some solutions or get told that there is no
Yeah.
solution and it's gonna work out.
Yeah. That's a lot of times we get we spiral and
Mhm.
we can't see outside of it, and so it's nice to kinda share that with someone else and say, "Hey, what can I do here? I'm
Yeah.
freaking out."
Yeah.
Although I will say, a past friendship, I had a friend who was she would spiral often, and she was spiraling about something, and I was just calmly listening to her, and she's like, "Why aren't you freaking out?" And I was like, "There's nothing to freak out about." She's like,
Mhm.
"No, I'm very," and she was spiraling about something that was, possibly could happen in the future. There was no indication it was actually going to happen. She was like thinking all the ways of like her life could fall apart. And she's like, "I need you to be anxious about this with me." And I was like, "Oh no. I'm
Mhm.
not interested in being anxious with you. I'm interested in helping you to find a solution,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to spiral with you."
Which is another thing people will say, like, "I match energies." Like, I really, truly try to maintain my own. It's very easy to be in a group of people or with your friends or whoever and just kind of absorb what's going on around you and
Yeah.
just let it take you down.
Yeah. Is there any other techniques you want to share?
I don't think so. I think that was it.
Well, I hope that we have provided you all with something that sounds doable to help you manage your stress and anxiety. There's also a bunch of links in the show notes of different resources for you to check out yourself. And a lot of it's just trial and error till you find what works for you. And I hope you feel supported and safe in your journey with anxiety.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Also, make sure that you like and subscribe, leave us a review wherever you get your podcast.
And you can also find us on YouTube.
Namaste.
Namaste.